because in the beginning is the toughest time. Once you have all that in place, you need to get known. You have to join your local chamber of commerce, advertise in small local publications. It's not very expensive to do that. One thing that you can do relatively inexpensive is get a website and get it optimized locally. So for instance, my company now, I have a national website that's not optimized, but I also have a local one that I had built for me that's being locally optimized. And what Google does is if you have brick and mortar address, you can do a 40-mile radius where you should dominate your local marketing, be on page one. And there's companies that'll do it for you for like $500 a month. It's not
I
real
had no
expensive.
idea.
Yeah.
I really had no idea on that. Like that, I thought I would hear things I already know, but that one part I didn't know. I found out about the Chamber of Commerce because I did it.
Yeah.
Trust me, from the time I moved to the US, I went about blindly, no direction. Like I had no one I was following, and I've hit the wall a couple of times, and I did not go that route. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, there's a company I'm using called Town Square. It's $500 a month. They build the website for you. It's a really nice website. So like my main website's lendoninsure.com.
Mm-hmm.
My local one is lendoninsure.nj.com. And that's being optimized right now. And probably in 4 to 6 weeks, I'll start getting up to page one with them. Also, they offer 50 hours of radio advertising included with that. So that's something else I'll be setting up. And they also have retargeting where people who come to your website, they retarget them in like Facebook ads and Google ads, when you go to search for stuff and those little ads pop up. So that's part of the 500 a month also. So that's something, that's a necessity if you ask me.
You know what? I wish I knew you. Really, I wish I knew you 2 years
Yes,
ago, and I
Carolina.
wish we had this conversation 2 years ago. That's why I said we're dishing out gold here, and I hit the wall. Really,
Yes.
it was so hard, George. I tell you, like coming from a different continent and just running blind. I wasted a lot of money without knowing. So if I had even just your expertise, that
Yeah,
would
I
have been
mean,
a
this
life.
I kind of knew about the local SEO, but this company I just found, and like I went through a lot of people that I spoke to, and they're all over the map. There's people that are going to tell you 5,000 a month, and like I'm usually not one to go with the lowest price because I'm like you get what you pay for.
Mhm.
But I spent a lot of time speaking with this woman Nicole, very knowledgeable, very good, um, very nice woman, and she knew her stuff, and they've delivered so far. I mean, they built an awesome website already for me. The website alone's worth more than 500. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about that. A couple of things you could do on your own is join Nextdoor. It's a website for like local businesses and people. Um, Also, Alignable is another one that you could do for local businesses. Start a Facebook business page. Like those three things you could do for like nothing. I mean, next door you could get a business page and Alignable. You could pay like a small fee every month to like be higher rated and stuff. But um, it's just another avenue to get yourself out there. Um, and then you need to go to local establishments, go to the local diner and restaurants and, shops and introduce yourself, other business owners, it's kind of like we are in our community, right? Like I have people in the same space as me, but we still bounce ideas off of each other. So, you want to get to know the people in the area and, pick their brain and share ideas. And it's just going to get you better known in the community. One thing that I used to do, especially when my kids were younger, I used to sponsor local sports teams. You
Oh,
know, that's relatively inexpensive also, but your name's getting out there, right? So now you're on next door, you're on Alignable, you're advertising in a local publication, you have a Facebook page, you're sponsoring the local sports team. People start to see your name everywhere, you know? And, it's a few dollars when you add it all up, but I mean, if you're gonna start a business, you have to expect that you're gonna spend some money, right?
mhm.
Another thing I've done is volunteer work. I
Yeah.
was at the Millstone Elks when I lived a little further up north, and for like 11 years, I was the treasurer. I was on the handicap committee where we did dances for handicapped people and everything, and like people get to know you. So, and it's something that is good to do anyway. I didn't do it for business, but it's just somewhere else that people see you and get to know you.
Wait,
Word of
wait,
mouth. Go
wait,
ahead. I'm sorry.
Lord. You're spitting out a lot of gold here
Stop me.
because
Hi, Clara.
you, I have gone. I went to the SBA. I was so stuck. I put myself in a business school, in a business class, and whatever. The things, the answers you're saying, they were not covered, and I paid money to learn that
I
information.
know.
But it's
It's so
so
good.
different. So it almost sounds like, oh, you just go here and there, but I literally didn't know all that. So this is golden. If someone is studying business, like this is golden. And there are things people who know, like you take for granted, where it seems like common sense, but for us, it's like, it's a needle mover to
Yeah, I
everything.
mean, listen, I learned trial and error on my own, and picking
Mhm.
up things here and there. I didn't learn any of this in school.
I wasn't expecting this. I really
Uh,
wasn't expecting this.
a lot of it is common sense, and all the tools you need to succeed are right in front of you. You need a little bit of money, but not a lot. Um, but all the tools you need to start a successful business are right in front of you. You got to put the time, the effort in. A lot of things are not immediate gratification. It takes time to get known. You join the Chamber of Commerce, you advertise in small local publications, you build the website and optimize it locally. You join Nextdoor, you join Alignable, you start a business Facebook page, you go to local diners and stuff, you sponsor a kids sports team, all these things I just talked about, volunteer work. None of that's going to get you income right away.
Mm.
You need to be prepared for that. But in the long run, it will pay off in spades because you're going to get known in your community. Um, a lot of times, a lot of towns have like a local fair or something, or parades and stuff. You should be giving away freebies, T-shirts, whatever you do. You should have something to give away. Just some knickknack or something. Um, another thing and I really haven't taken advantage of this, but I'm going to. A lot of local press are looking for stories. And if you reach out to them and you got a good story to tell, a lot of, you can get picked up in the local paper, a town paper or something, and they'll write an article about you. They're looking for content. It's not like the big national news outlets where all they need to find is someone who got shot or something and they put it on, right? They just talk about all bad things. But locally, and I'm going to start doing this. I haven't, but it's something, that should be looked into.
Mhm.
Um, Other forms of social media, Instagram, Twitter, depending on your business, TikTok, Snapchat, all of them. You have to get known, and you got to use every outlet available to you. There's no outlet that's a bad outlet. So, if there's local events you can go to them, meet people, and you may be uncomfortable at first, but that's what it takes. If nobody knows about you, and we know this, right? Because we hear it from Grant. If nobody knows about you, no one's going to buy what you have that you're selling.
Mhm.
So you have to get known. It's an investment in time. And, it's going to be, look, it's going to make your life where you're living, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like more rewarding, you're going to get to meet people and know people, and you're going to become somebody in the community that, people look to. Coach sports teams if you're into that. You'll get to know all the parents. You'll get, I mean, there's lots of things that you can do. Um, just all the things I just talked about. If you do all those things, there's no way in a year you're not doing really good.
Something that there are many, you've touched on so many things here, but one of the things I like is that the way you've explained it is when someone is starting, you have to put the money there. If you don't have the money, volunteer. Because if you give your time, when they're having events and stuff like that, where you start getting known, even if you're just thinking about being an entrepreneur, does that work too? Did I hear you right there?
Well, I understand not everyone has money and they want to start a business, but and you can try doing that, and like, yeah, there are some things you could do that don't cost money. I mean, you're not going to build a website and get it optimized if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have money. um, that's probably the biggest expense I talked about. um, Joining the Chamber of Commerce, that's really not a cost.
Mm-hmm.
um, Joining Nextdoor, joining Alignable, starting a Facebook business page, that doesn't cost you anything.
Mm.
Going to your local diner. I mean, you're going to go out somewhere anyway once in a while, right? Like, go have a cup of coffee. You don't need to have a full blown dinner, but go there and have coffee every morning and meet people.
Mm.
Have a cup of coffee and hang out for a little bit. Getting local press coverage, that's free. You just have to have a good story. You know, I'm a new business. I used to work in the corporate world. I lost my job. I'm starting off. I really want to, provide this service to the community. Like, you never know. One of them may pick you up. Um, Even the local publications, I mean, it's not real expensive to advertising them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not talking about hundreds of dollars a month. Setting up Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that's all free. Word of mouth, that's free. There's really not much that I talked about, networking with other business owners, that's free.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can do it without money. You still need money to start your business. I mean, um, I think one thing that's different than in the past is I don't think a lot of businesses need brick and mortar anymore. I mean, I guess it depends. Like if you're going to have a coffee shop or something, yes. But I think there's a lot of businesses you can do without having a brick and mortar location, since COVID. People are getting used to doing Zooms, doing these lives, stuff like that. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's an opportunity for people to have less startup costs starting a business, you know? Like if you do making a product, you could drop ship stuff. You can, there's ways to do things where you don't need an office space or a warehouse or, you know, like that's the old way of doing business for the most part. I mean, there's always going to be, I think the exception is more that you do need it than you don't. Um, Look at all the companies that sell clothes and stuff. I mean, lots of people just buy online now. You could set up an e-commerce store on Shopify in a day
Mm-hmm.
with credit card processing and everything. So there's lots of opportunity for anyone who wants to start a small business. You know, it does help if you have some money. We're not talking tens of thousands. If you got 3, 4, $5,000, you're going to be able to build a nice website, get that optimized locally, and that's going to help you grow faster. But you got to do all these other little things.
Mhm.
You know, does anybody got questions? I think we just got Clara and Carolina.
I see she put a radio advert. Carolina put radio adverts. This is something that I did, and I knew about advertising on the radio. I knew about how you can put your story and your stuff publicized in magazines and newspapers. But I do realize that these days people don't read magazines and newspapers as such. But from where I come from, we didn't have a chamber of commerce. It wasn't a thing. Where I come from, there was no thing like if you go, like social setups which actually support
Yeah,
businesses. There was no such thing. So coming to a more developed continent, a more developed country, it's things that I had never experienced and I didn't really know. So the Chamber of Commerce, I only learned about that last year. Like really, I didn't
yeah.
know. And I started an e-commerce.
Hey, Karina. Karina joined.
I started an e-commerce and I really hit my head in a wall because I relied on Google and YouTube and it wasn't enough. That's why I kept on looking at people. But the small answers you've given me, considering I live in a small town, that would have really helped.
Yeah, like one of the things you said that I just want to push back on a little. Most print advertising is, I think, pretty much dead. But the local publications, like I get a local thing that what's going on in town, stuff like that. I read that. That's the only print advertising I read,
Mm.
because it comes to you for free. It's cheap to advertise in, and you get people tend to read those, what's going on in their local community. So I don't know that that's totally dead. Some of the bigger things, yeah, that's going to be more expensive, or I think regular newspapers are going away. But yeah, I mean, most of the things I talked about really don't cost anything but time and effort.
But someone has to know they exist. I'll give you an example. I
They
think
do, but
uh
let me
this
they have to know they exist, but they also have to do it. For years, I didn't do it. All right,
there you go.
because
That's
I
why
mean,
the marketing.
I did some of it, but I didn't do as much as I should have.
I think that's
And
why these collaborations, networking and Zoom and everything we're doing is important because we're bringing in front things we forget. Even if you know
yeah,
something, it's good to have those conversations so that they stay fresh. And you're like, I did that and I haven't been doing that for your case.
yeah,
And then for me, who went to a business school so that I could, because I really wanted to know what I didn't know.
right,
I went there, and the things you're saying here that I didn't get from there. I wasn't introduced or told that you have to go to a chamber of commerce, that it helps to be known. That's one of the channels, and they do exist. Um, and that's coming from you uh, today. So I really appreciate that. Oh, signal is not good tonight. Oh, okay. I see someone is saying their signal is not
you
good.
know,
Mine
I
wasn't.
I mean, I can't speak to the business school because I didn't go to business school. I learned everything in the street and common
Mhm.
sense and trial and error.
Mhm.
Um, but that's real life, right? I
Yep.
mean, business school is just some teacher teaching, and when
They've never
you
done it.
want people who actually have done it to give you advice, even if they've had failures, right? Because there's lessons in that too. Um, I mean, I don't know how many teachers actually started their own business. There's only so much a book can, how far a book can get you. But when you get into the real world, there's lawsuits, there's all kinds of things that happen, right? Your phone system goes out. I mean, there's a million things that, like, you know, aren't really taught, I guess, in school. So yeah, it's unfortunate when I hear stories like that because it's a lot of money people spend, and even regular college, you see,
It's a lot. It's a lot because you're paying for classes for the information so that it shortcuts your way. And there are many phonies out there, so you don't know what's valid and what's not.
Yeah.
And then it's not just for someone who's coming in the country, even regular people here who've had parents who've been in the workforce and they've never really owned businesses wouldn't have this information at the hand of the back, you know? So if you weren't born in that kind of a family, some things like this you don't know unless you have a mentor or listen to George telling Pauline today. So I really appreciate, I really, really, oh, I thought that was me because mine's been falling.
No, I'm on a, what do you call those things? Where you put the folders in? I got it laying in there. I'm at my friend's office. I got to meet some clients. Yeah, you know, listen, the biggest thing, and I've really taken this to heart recently, is you have to get known. I don't care how uncomfortable you are, you have to get known. And there's all these avenues for you to do that. There's social media, Karina. There's social media, there's all the things I talked about, you know, because you don't know where you're going to start to generate business from. It may come from the Chamber of Commerce. You get introduced to somebody and they introduce you to people, and now you're in a little circle and group, and you know, the word spreads. It could be on a Facebook page, you know, someone gives you a good review and other people are on there and they see that. It's so many little things. There's no one thing, you know, and I think a lot of people in business go that route. They're like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to generate revenues, right? But there's so many little things and so many different avenues that you need to explore, because you don't know which one's going to work the best and be the most productive for you. And they may all work in concert, right? Because if someone sees you on Facebook, that may not be enough. But then if they, you know, see you in the local, you know, what's going on paper in your community, and, you know, then they see your website, and then they hear about you from somebody at the diner, and they're like, oh, who is this guy? You know, oh, he must be somebody or she must be somebody. And you know what do they do? You know, you don't know when that client is going to materialize for you. And if you're just looking for immediate gratification, you're never going to build something.
I think, you know, to add on to that, I think it's the same thing with people who buy books, the workshops that people go to as well. You never know which one is going to move that needle for you. So you just keep on doing, you just keep on going. You don't know what book will actually help you answer the questions you want. You don't know what connection, like we've had many Instagram lives. But to be honest, today you've given me something that I really didn't know. I really, really didn't know. And
Well,
if
I'm glad.
you were in front of me telling me this 2 years ago, I don't know. It's not just the one thing Grant says, but I don't know. I think it would have been better knowing where to go than blowing up the little money that, you know, you save something and I underestimated how much it would take to like really blow up. And I underestimated how much time and attention the business needed. So, you know, I come from that place where I'm really, really soaking in what you're saying, and I'm going to replay this and, you know, take notes and really listen like intensely. So I really appreciate that. It's really amazing to have a person like you here telling me this.
And one thing I purposely left out, because you're talking about starting a small business and it's a startup. I didn't even talk about paid advertising, like advertising on Facebook and Instagram, and
that's what I did.
And Google. Like, you don't need to do that right away.
I didn't know.
And really, like Facebook, you could advertise for as little as $5 a day. You know?
My daughter's looking in right now.
All the other things I talked about, like that's another mistake people make. They think, oh, I got money. Did what work? Carolina's asking.
Did what work? The advertising, not as much.
Oh, you.
I put in more than I was going to get out, and I didn't have the cash flow to sustain it. So I put in everything I had and cash flow wasn't coming in. So you know what, how that happens. And being a single mom in a new continent with a child and school, and I was like, ugh, because I really didn't have that direction. Because now, at least we're following something Grant has done. I'm listening to George, who actually did something. So even if there is a war, I know that, okay, this is the way, just keep on going. But I was blind. So I didn't want to be, for lack of a better word, stupid, where I don't know if it's working or not, and you just keep on going. At least you have to have some sense of direction. And that's what I'm getting from George. And that's what I've been getting from Grant as well. You know, so it's not just my mind, it's also like, okay, keep on going, even if it's tough, this is the way. Chamber of Commerce, like you said, getting involved with locals and stuff. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and here's another mistake. Two mistakes I think people make.
Mm-hmm.
One is if they do have the money for paid advertising, they don't do these other things, and you still need to do these other things because they all work in concert. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if someone sees you on a billboard and then they see you in the diner, and it's just they all reinforce each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, like, even when I've done paid advertising, I've never lost. I've always made money. But the reason that I did was because I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. Like, I didn't just buy from one lead source. I bought from 6 lead sources, and maybe 2 of them I lost, but the other 4 more than made up for it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you you have to diversify and spread your risk. If you're just going to count on one thing, you can lose.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do all the things I talked about and you're spending money on paid advertising, make sure the paid advertising, you spread it across several different vehicles because one of them may not work. Radio may end up, I did very well with radio. I did well with direct mail. I did well with buying leads. I've done well with live transfers. I've tried it all. And most of them worked. The lead buying leads is tough because you got to find someone who's good and reputable, and that's tough to do. So you really got to try and get them to give you samples before you place a big order if you're buying leads for your business.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to spread your risks so that if one thing or 2 things don't work, you got 3 or 4 that will make up for it. But now we're getting into spending money. That's a whole nother, but you still have to do all these other things. You still have to do basically most of it's free that I talked about. It's just putting the effort in and getting out there and getting known.
Mm-hmm.
And locally, you shouldn't have to spend a lot of money if you can get known. If you want to start expanding, then you're going to have to start doing paid advertising.
I think I did it the wrong way. Not I think, I know I did it the wrong way. And I think that's one of the problems sometimes. If you don't have a mentor, you don't have people you're speaking with, and you have the finances, is you will throw it thinking, going on your thought without any validation. And that's a little bit tricky. So this is actually golden. This is actually golden. And even people in businesses, I think they can just have this reminder to say, oh, I forgot about the locals, the next town and the other town. And thank you so much, George. Like, I didn't know you were going to say what you said. So I'm actually, thank you. No, thank you. Because what I did was like, I had this big business idea, and the e-commerce. And it's like I went to buy a Bentley or a Rolls Royce with no money to maintain it. You know what I mean? No direction. And I just crushed. I just crushed and I just burnt it out. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you being patient and waiting and holding the fort for me. Thank you, because I realize and I do understand that time is money. And I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you giving me these nuggets. And it's not just me, it's everybody watching on Facebook and everybody watching on Instagram. And there is information here that can really, really help others.
Yeah, and
Students are not.
everyone feel free to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always willing to help, and any way I can. So, you know, those people who know me, who've gotten to know me, know that. So,
Mhm.
you know, I'll always try and help however I can.
No, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. So I know, without taking much more of your time, because this is now an hour and we're going to get ready for another
Yep.
session with the 10X.
Hmm.
I really appreciate the information you shared, George. Thank you so, so much on
You're
behalf of
welcome.
me and everybody watching.
Thank you.
And this is information that, regardless of which continent and place you're working from, you could get one or two things and play with them. And
Yeah,
thank you so much, Karina. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're such an
she
amazing
is.
woman. She's always
We've
here.
gotten to know each other a little better. She's a great person.
No, she is. She like the all of them. They're just amazing. It's just a
We're
different
gonna we're
color.
gonna be doing some business together too.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, amazing. Well,
Mhm.
George, I'm going to let you go. But if you have any other bombs you want to drop, like let us know.
Just do everything. You know, there's nothing you can't say one thing's working or not because, like I said, one thing may reinforce another thing, and that's why it's working. If you're just doing one thing, you may not be getting all you can out of it because you're not reinforcing it with something else. So you need to use all available venues to get known, get your company known, get your product known. You know, you need to use everything. They all reinforce each other, and it's going to help you in the long run really build a solid business with a solid foundation.
You
That's
had
it.
it right. You had it right. You had it here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And George came with the energy today. He came with all these nuggets that I swear people will spend a lot of thousand and sometimes tens and thousands without having the little nuggets he shared. They seem little, but they can really move the needle. So thank you for watching. And I hope you join in next Thursday, same time. We appreciate everybody. If you missed this live, please go ahead and watch the replay. You can go on George's profile, follow him, and DM him for a thank you if you like the information or anything you would like to learn. Just to remind you again, George works in the insurance space, and then well, let him have it here because he can speak a little bit about that
I
to
do.
remind you.
My company, we do residential and commercial financing for mortgages, life insurance, Medicare and group health insurance, alternative business funding. We do merchant services, which I'm going to be doing with Karina, credit repair, you know, pretty much uh, financing and insurance mostly, and then some financial support services is what we do.
Nice,
So
nice.
if
So
anybody
people,
needs help, let
Mhm.
me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, George. I
Thank you guys.
appreciate it. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your day. People, please, if you have any questions, let us know. If you're working on something or trying to create something, he's here dropping nuggets. Get them while you still can. Otherwise, we'll charge everybody for watching. Just kidding. But thank you, everybody. And let's keep the energy. Let's keep the drive. Let's keep the um, building our circles with people who have this kind of mindsets and energy because you never know what you'll learn. Just show up and see what you're going to get. And
Yep.
then thank you so much, George. Bye bye.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, then. So, okay, George just left. Oh, he just left both channels. Oh, oh, he went live. I forgot. I was supposed to go live, but then my phone froze. I was coming from a meeting and my phone froze. So I forgot that he actually went live on his. Lucky enough, I have my Facebook here. So for anybody who's looking to get into business, who is in business, this is information that's really helpful and fruitful. Trust me. Had I got the information that I just got in this short session, I would have been saved with a lot of headaches and headaches. But we're here giving it out, and I hope you're taking in and soaking in all the information. When you see George and I go live, get a pen, get a paper, be inspired. And if you live in a location where you do not have such things going on for you, you do not have the systems, because coming from Zambia, when we talk about the Chamber of Commerce or just the way things are systemized in the US, some structures like this to help entrepreneurs, upcoming entrepreneurs, are not there. So people just go by their knowledge and their whim and their thoughts. And sometimes it's good to interact with people who've already done what you want to do. It's good to interact with people who are driven, who are going in the direction that you are. And this is where we come in. So look at the systems. If you don't have them, why don't you start? Why don't you be the one who sets up such things? So instead of just complaining, we're here with solutions. We do not come here to just talk about our problems. We talk about the problem and how we solved it, or how another person did it better. We also look at how, you know you can consider some things when connecting with people coming from different locations and different dealing with different stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all things that you can build on and build that legacy for your family, for something that people can actually learn from. Let's not pass the poverty mindsets on, and let's get going with information, sharing, teaching each other. And when you have a question, feel free to DM me. Like this post, share it with your friends and family, share it with people who you know can really, really benefit from the information we're sharing. And these are systems you can create regardless of which society you're watching from, if you already do not have these systems in place to help you. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to say bye now. Done a lot of talking. I got this from TikTok, but love you guys, and cash money. Hot cash money. Hot cash money. Okay, have an amazing Thursday, and see you next week. Now we'll be going live IG and Facebook. And we're going to work on not having any back end sound if there was any today. But thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing weekend. And again, it's Pauline Coney. Cash money. Cash money.